You can survive 5 seconds on Venus, but your body won't even last one. That sounds impossible, right? But it gets worse. Because those 5 seconds might feel like an eternity, and by the end of them, you wouldn't even recognize what's happening to you. Welcome to Venus. From space, it looks calm, peaceful, almost beautiful, a glowing sphere wrapped in soft golden clouds. Earth's so-called twin, same size, similar gravity, born in the same corner of the solar system. So here's the question. If Venus is so much like Earth, what went so wrong? And this is where it gets strange. You're just 40 million kilometers away at closest approach. For months of travel, and suddenly, there it is, hanging in the darkness. Silent, waiting. But here's the part no one tells you. Those clouds, they aren't clouds. They're poison. Thick layers of sulfuric acid swirling endlessly around the planet. If you could smell them, they'd hit you with the stench of rotten eggs, sharp, burning, suffocating. But you can't smell them, because the moment you take off your helmet, it's already over. And that raises a bigger question. If the surface is this hostile, what happens when you actually go down there? Because we've tried. We've sent machines, probes, landers. Some orbited, some dared to descend, and every single one paid the price. But one of them lasted longer than expected. And what it discovered changes everything. The descent begins slowly, almost peacefully. At first, it doesn't feel like hell. You're floating 50 kilometers above the surface, surrounded by thick, golden haze. Visibility? Almost zero. The atmosphere is so dense, it swallows light itself. But here's the strange part. That air around you isn't air at all. It's carbon dioxide. Almost pure. Heavy. Suffocating. Trapping heat like a sealed furnace. And the deeper you go, the worse it gets. 15 kilometers down, something changes. The haze begins to thin. Shapes start to emerge beneath you. Mountains. Volcanoes. Endless fields of rust-colored rock. And that raises a terrifying question. Is Venus still alive? Because what you're seeing isn't just ancient scars. Some of these volcanoes may still be active, still erupting, still reshaping the surface in silence. But that's not even the craziest part. You prepare to land. No signal, no guidance, just a blind descent into pressure and heat. Your spacecraft touches down, kicking up thick clouds of dust that hang in the heavy atmosphere for minutes. When it finally clears, you look up, and something feels wrong. There's no bright sun, no blue sky, just a dim, endless twilight, like the world is stuck in permanent dawn. And this is where it gets weird. Only 10% of sunlight actually reaches the surface. The rest is trapped above you. So now ask yourself, if this place barely sees the sun, why is it hotter than Mercury? The answer is coming, and it's worse than you think. The temperature hits you before the truth does. 475 degrees Celsius. Hot enough to melt lead. Let that sink in. This isn't just a hot planet, it's a pressure cooker from hell. But here's the twist. It wasn't always like this. Venus may have once had oceans, clouds of water, conditions not so different from Earth. So what happened? And this is where everything flips. The atmosphere, that thick blanket of carbon dioxide, didn't just trap heat, it amplified it. A runaway greenhouse effect. Heat feeding heat. No escape, no cooling, until the oceans boiled away, until the surface became unrecognizable. And suddenly, Earth's twin became its warning. But wait, if it's this extreme, how do we even know what's down there? Because something actually made it. In 1981, a probe landed on Venus. It wasn't expected to survive long. Minutes, maybe. Instead, it lasted 127 minutes. Long enough to send back images. Data. Proof. But then, silence. Crushed? Melted? Destroyed by pressure? No one knows exactly how it died. And that raises a chilling question. If a machine designed for hell barely survived 2 hours, what chance do you have? But you're already here. Already landed. And your mission is simple. Just 5 seconds outside. That's all. So you open the hatch and step out. And that's when things change. The moment your boots hit the ground, something feels wrong. Not the heat. Not yet. The weight. The air itself presses against you like water. Thick, heavy, almost solid. Every movement feels slow, forced, unnatural. But here's the strange part. Venus has nearly the same gravity as Earth. So why does it feel like you're being crushed? Because the atmosphere around you is 90 times denser than Earth's. You're not just walking. You're fighting the air. And then the heat hits you. Hard. Your suit strains to keep up. Systems working overtime. Cooling. Pressurizing. Protecting. For a moment, you think you might actually survive this. After all, a probe lasted over 2 hours. So maybe you can too. But that's not even the craziest part. You take another step, then another, and then something breaks. A tiny failure. A crack. Your suit ruptures. And instantly, everything changes. The pressure slams into you from all sides. Like being dragged to the deepest part of the ocean in a single second. Your lungs can't expand. You try to breathe, but there's no oxygen. Only scorching gas that burns your throat from the inside. And this is where it gets terrifying. You don't have minutes. You don't even have seconds. You have moments. Unless you reach the spacecraft immediately, it's over. And yet, that's still not the worst part. Because high above you, something even more deadly is happening. Acid rain. Clouds of sulfuric acid constantly forming, constantly falling. But here's the twist. It never reaches you. Not because it's harmless, but because it evaporates before it hits the ground. That's how hot this planet is. Rain can't even survive the fall. Let that sink in. A world where rain disappears midair, where metal melts, where pressure crushes everything, and where even machines built for survival eventually fail. So now ask yourself, why does Venus exist like this? Why did one world become home and the other become hell? Because the difference isn't distance. It's balance. A slight shift. A small change in atmosphere. A chain reaction that never stopped. And this is where it gets uncomfortable. Because Earth isn't immune. The same effect, the same process exists here too. Just slower. Controlled. For now. But what happens if that balance breaks? What happens if Earth follows the same path? And suddenly, Venus isn't just a distant nightmare. It's a preview. So here's the final question. If we could turn Earth into Venus, could we one day turn Venus back into Earth? Or is this burning world already past the point of no return?